Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I wanted to come again with some tarot because I realized I haven't come back with any tarot yet for all of you. So this is a general reading, whatever energies come through. I've pulled some cards initially. Let's talk about the energies over the next 7 days, but take into account that time is nothing. These are energies that could come up at any time in the nearby future, or some things to be aware of, the decisions that you make right now for that future. So take what resonates, leave what does not, and of course leave a comment because I appreciate them and read them. We're going to look at these cards and then clarify a little bit more, see what comes through. So the first cards were just a more expansive view on the powers that be and what might be coming forward for those energies that are on their way. And the next cards were for the people, more, on the ground kind of thing. So the Sun card comes up for the first reading. So the Sun card here, you can see it's got the childlike figure on the horse at a jump over some sunflowers, which is, often seen as a sign for peace, tranquility, and the sun is shining real beautiful hot, and it's making hay while the sun shines. It is that energy of growth, of reproduction, production, gain, abundance, warmth. This is happening for the powers that be. They are cleaning up, and I know that is not a wanted answer for a lot of people, especially a lot of people who are connected to this movement are still holding on to some hope in that. That's been completely hijacked. That is run by the powers that be. It is people breaking away from that and maintaining those connections that do work and that are honest and true. That is the building blocks, but it more or less means people are starting again on the back foot. So I realize for those people, it is not a pleasant or wanted answer, as far as the way that people are wanting to say it's going to go, trust the plan, we've won, all of these things. If anybody's still talking about winning, or the wanting to win, loads of creams come out there, so, or the wanting to win, then they haven't got it yet, in that they are still in the game, they're still wanting. Loads of cream came out there, look at that. So they're still wanting to win over something else. It's still a little bit down there on the energies of realistic, and knowing of how these energies interact, how chaos and order works, how magic works, how the spiritual echelons work, in that, that winning and losing, it's like good and evil. It doesn't really compute, because there is no ultimate winning. That is not what this creation in this realm, in this duality, calls for, or will allow to be born. So it's more about creating a balance, a different level of harmony, rather than winning. But as far as the sun goes, that sun keeps coming out for them. And for me also, it is damn frustrating. I don't want to see the sun for them. And I've got to search myself and say, why am I still clinging on or hung on to the made up billions and trillions that there? And I know why. It's because it's affecting the poorest. It's affecting innocence, but it is what it is. The sun is shining for them, and these very, very few powers that are directing what seemingly is this whole realm. It's not this part world that we know of, these countries that we know of, That's what they're directing, and they're making hay while the sun shines. They're cleaning up. It's working, and we'll go into that further as that goes on. We've got the Nine of Staffs as the next card. So this is just on this card. It's fruiting bodies of trees that represent the 9 staffs, and this calls for discernment. You can see the unicorn peeking around the tree there. This speaks to a caution going forward. It talks to us about the discernment of what they are, who they are, and the capabilities that they have, but more so what that reflects in us, what we are that is reflected back from them, what kinds of things, you know, like me, when I get frustrated when the sun card comes up for them, I've got to search within myself and know that this is an ancient thing, and I've been on repeat with it for quite a while. And so there's that niggle there, there's that ego there that actually, yes, a lot of times I would love to fire stakes, aces, wands, into the hearts of these people that control this as this part of the realm. The Four of Swords comes out as the next card, and that is speaking about the different factions of powers that be have become very insular. They are infiltrating by stealth each other's plans, and there are some powers that do not want to sign up to be a complete puppet on a string president or prime minister, or there are people within their systems that they've built up for their security that would be quite willing to bat for the other team in order to get one over on what they would perceive as a more evil being. They've become very compartmentalized. Now, for us, that is a dangerous place for them to be, funnily enough. You don't want them compartmentalized. You don't want them going into the shadows any further than they already do, but they are. What else does it want to say? For me, it talks about a lot of meetings taking place regarding those that aren't signing up for their cashless society, for their digital ID pass for everything. There are countries that they have not got their foot in half as much as they would want to, Iran being one of them. The King of Cups comes up next. All I could think about here was there is a leader to come up actually that speaks of the emotions of his people very eloquently and very honestly. That King of Cups in this energy has been doxed, degraded, feared. But it does speak from the heart, and that has an impact. It is having an impact. It is causing ripples in the plan. It's causing ripples on the lake. It's breaking down compartmentalized places where people are secretly meeting and what is being secretly said or threatened. There's about 4 leaders, male, that are going to come to this king's aid. Not willing to put a name on it because there's too much using of the media in this so-called movement, especially with the grifters, that there is too much jumping on bandwagons. This energy is not what it seems. This energy is not from a predictable place at all. Speaks of his mother, or speaks through the eyes of his mother. His mother's imparted a lot of emotional strength and intellect. And so the tower comes up on the bottom of that deck. You can see the tower here. It is depicting if you think of the tower and look at my tower video on this channel to describe it, because it is a very fear-based card for a lot of people. Now, none of the tarot should consist of a fear-based mentality. If it's read properly, it should be more about an empowerment to face whatever needs to be faced honestly and resourcefully and with strength. So look up that video, but you can see on this tower, it's got the lightning from the top, the flames on the top, the tsunami-like wave, people falling from the tower, the fire bellowing from the bottom and the top. This speaks about a crashing down, a cleansing, where the tower is the true self that is left standing. A lot of the things that the tower has been adorned with are being stripped away, or being cleansed away. And what is left of the tower is the more honest, person in themselves. A lot of the ego has been stripped away. The fire on the top represents the egoic crown that we place on top of ourselves. And the structure that is remaining is that true form. Now, this structure that is remaining, it feels like to me there is many more earthquakes. Iran comes up again for me for that unexplainable earthquake-like energy, a harnessing of creation in a way that is so destructive, so abusive, and an absolute sacrilege to take these elements and use them in a way to destroy, and destroy in a very controlled way. I can see cracks in the land. I can see more cracks in the lands that aren't just quite so easily signing up to this little group of people wanting promises, wanting results, and wanting compacts with all leaders. It speaks to those of the more Western world in ideology as countries, England, America, Canada, Australia. It speaks to us really being shown, with those with eyes to see and ears to hear, just how real the knowings we have of these few people being in control of the capabilities of HARP, of CERN, and all of the other things that we do not know the name of, these colliders that are seeking the God particle and have found aspects, because there's no one particle, is there? It's the aspect of being able to use those particles in a way with the intent behind it to destroy, instead of to use it for the aid, where places need rain, where, there's none of that is going on. But the true form for those with eyes to see and ears to hear is gonna be so real that you feel crazy. It's crazy making energy, it's gaslighting energy, because you're still trying to speak, and it's like you're speaking on that Simpsons episode where I think it's Homer speaking, and I remember it as a kid and laughing, about it with my dog, because my dad had always taught me the dog isn't hearing every word, it's hearing your intent in the words, and it's probably hearing the latter end of the word. So if they've got a name with E at the end, you could probably say any name in the same tone and they'll respond, because it's the frequencies that are made with the letters, the more prominent sounds that they're picking up on. And on this episode, I think it's Homer is speaking, and all the dog is hearing is muffled gobbledygook, and just sort of wagging its tail, you know, waiting, not hearing. And that stuck with me, because a lot of times when I'm describing things that I can see or feel that are coming down the line or that are happening to somebody, I often feel like I'm talking to that dog, that it just is not on the same frequency, cannot understand what I'm trying to express. That's what this tower can feel like, in that you are looking at this tower, you are looking at these constructs that have been built, and you're looking at the fragility of them, and the time is now kind of thing, for because they can be seen, they can be felt, but the masses still continue to, yes, get fed up, but they're way behind. So it's like you're talking to that dog that can't compute what you're saying. Now, when we go on to the people, the tower card is on the bottom of the deck on this one too, and this is probably a more traditional and better way to see. You see that ego that is made, that crown up, is being knocked off by lightning. People are falling from it. Now it's on rocky ground, but it's sturdy. The tower itself is sturdy. The three windows representing the Trinity of Self. But we'll go into that in a second. So the first card, as for the people that are pulled, is the Ten of Swords. And it speaks to cycles. It doesn't speak to endings like a lot of people would want this sun to speak of. We've won, it's an ending, you know, we rise, they fall, blah, blah, blah. Who rises? Because these people can only do this to us because they are still represented in the masses' hearts. And you can see that in a movement that is supposed to be opposing all of the powers that they have. You can see that the grifters that still have some lagging followers are still, they're looking for the very same leader, much, 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 much lower down the totem pole, albeit, but that represent those same misogynistic ways, those same racist ways, those same prejudice ways, the judgment. You can see it. So it's cycle repeat. And you can see it with the regurgitation, and again being bombarded online with this whole Christian rhetoric, with the whole Muslim rhetoric, with the whole you know, just organized religion in general being pummeled down. And it's like, you see, it's revelation, it's the end of time story, look at the tower, look, you can see. And it's like because you think it's the same story and not just the same energies that keep getting regurgitated, because that is what has maintained this hijack of power in this realm for so long. For as long as you see that it's a rolling like 10 back to 1, 10 back to 1, and how you work through that cycle is how much you see the sunshine for you, or in general, how much we see the sunshine for the balance and harmony of the masses living in this space. So the Ten of Swords represents you can see on the ground an exhausted energy, and it's from all places. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, this Ten of Swords is like, okay, I have to do some work here to see the sunshine, to feel the light frequencies touch my skin, to be in the present moment, because to cling on to this cycle, and this has been happening for me again, and I do it cyclically. I have to retreat for different reasons, yes, but I maintained that retreat for longer because I needed to be in that present space without as much clutter and noise. because it's hard to stay connected. It's hard to stay connected and watch this cycle repeat. We keep jumping into the ring, you know, into the mud fight for a few rounds, and then we have to jump out again because you realize this is an endless wrestle that these people are having with themselves and therefore with the people who are controlling their lives right now. So it's difficult to see that when people just get up and these swords become more invisible, yes, but they're just absorbed into the vertebrae of the spine, which is the spine of the tower, which is the spine of the tower. And so, yes, the physical objects might disperse and might not be there. The words might not be being shouted which swords represents in your year each day, because you've moved on to the Ace of Swords again, another cycle. This Ten of Swords speaks of, you watch many times people just, the tips of these swords just become part of the vertebrae, become part of the adorning, a false adorning of the tower of other people's words, your own degrading words, the battle, the consciousness. And it's difficult to witness too many times in a row. You have to take that time out to retreat back and just be an observer and take account in a way like the ancients did, thank goodness, to write on stone, to write on paper. Because it's that physicality of something that makes it harder to get rid of for the years going forward. But it is difficult to see, and it is so difficult to express to these people who are having these levels of awakening, levels of enlightenment, but they're still being conditioned by the story of organized religion that, for me, took over maximum, 1600 type to 1800, really solidifying and distorting and creating a power structure of guilt and fear within organized religion, stealing all of the esoteric knowledge from all of the different peoples that they encountered and using it with nefarious intent rather than good intent. So these cycles of people just getting up, maintaining these swords in their back, their words, their beliefs, what they've allowed to be absorbed and become part of their skeletal structure, part of their tower. You have to get in that space of just being the observer. Otherwise, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to witness over and over again. Now, the Ace of Wands comes up as the next card for the people, and this would speak to passionate energy. It would speak to the divine masculine, taking action backed on your passions. And it comes from nowhere, again, very much like the Ace of Cups in a lot of decks, or the Four of Cups in a lot of decks. There's this hand from the ether, this hand from the clouds, hand in this. So it comes from that invisible place, this type of passion. It comes from that space of different aspects of you in different lifetimes, your being rather than your person. It can surprise you also at times, and that's the energy that I get for a lot of people, in that it surprises you where you keep getting this passion and drive from, and it's right under the Nine of Staffs, and again that makes 10, and it takes the cycle forward for those who have the capacity to draw on this passion from the ether, from their soul, from the ground up. And from the sky down, to really have that force, that erection, that pointing forward to something, even when you've either been through 10 of Swords in the back or you're a witness to it. this speaks to going forward with that discernment for those who are able to do so in the different directions outside of the very intricate and many traps that they've set for people, particularly in this movement. Basically, it's like a Muslim and Christianity sponge, that movement now. They're sponging up the last remaining parts, that people that they can, to solidify the belief that yes, of this awakening energy that they've been feeling, but to anchoring it down and tying it down to a lot of the Christian rhetoric, which again, we all know here is that repeat of that cycle, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But for those that can see those intricate traps, for those that can see through that and take forward this Ace of Wands from the soul, from source energy, that's the energy going forward, where things are built, and they're built in ways that are quiet, reserved, and that's where the strength is. A lot of the loud, brash groups and traps that are in places for like radio, TV, Telegram, they don't want this Ace of Wands going forward in different directions, because that's where the strength is. That's where the organic, authentic growth is. That is where the magnetic pull is, to pull us out of this repeated cycle of organized religion and all of the power structures and systems that have been built from that type of consciousness, from that box. We've got the Three of Swords as the next card. So the Three of Swords, you can see it's brutal. Again, it's swords. It's those words. It's the scars, the inner wounds, the inner child wounds, the past life wounds that can come forward and stab you in that space of the heart chakra. For the UK, I kept saying quite a while ago that stabbings were going to go up. They have been, but there's going to be some horrific stabbings. And again, the levels of compartmentalization, because this is under the Four of Swords, of these gangs, of these, as above, so below. These people are only maintaining what they're doing because there's enough people still below, reflecting the constructs that they have, the stick together, and other people are enemies, willing to stab your friend in the back to go forward. They can only exist because they're reflected very much so on the ground. So as far as the attacks that the powers that be are creating on whole countries, there are like whole worlds within worlds of gangs, of fractions of people in the UK that are infusing the air and promoting racism, promoting misogyny, promoting rape, promoting control, and doing that with the various rhetoric of they're in the right, you know, the word has said. For those that carry that Ace of Wands energy, this is where you use the three, you're capable of using the Three of Swords energy in a way that drives you. Actually, a lot of these things, these wounds, these lessons that you've been through the various different lifetimes, or this lifetime, or from that your ancestors have been through, allows you to actually, because you're able to use them in a way for your greatness, to drive you forward to say it doesn't matter how much that person entices me or pulls me in or tries to magnetize me into this battle. I'm going in the different direction. This hand from the ether is pointing in a different direction. It's pointing towards the Ten of Swords, the previous card. It's pointing towards go forward in the new cycle on fire, with passion, with drive, and use those wounds to know exactly which direction to not go into, which people to not be around, which things to not be a party of. But it's difficult because as far as the movement goes around the world, there are grifters in place to cater for every type, um, for every, you know, taste and flavor of inner wounds that can pull on a person's belief system. The world card. In a world of pain. It's the world card as the next card, by the way, another major arcana. I've just clarified. Then the world card comes out. What is a world? It's a day. There's a world within a day. The world that you exist in a day, today, is completely different from the world that you existed in yesterday. But for those people that want to hold on, that want to worship the wounds, that want to still win something rather than just rectify the balance here, that world keeps repeating. Those lessons keep repeating. The cycle itself keeps repeating. And when you scale that up, you can see that there is still although you can say, well, once people see this atrocity, then people will see what they're planning, what they're doing with their Four of Swords. When they see this atrocity, no, it's this one. This atrocity will do it. And it's like, no, because there's too many people that are so far away from any real spiritual guidance, real spiritual knowledge, that are so far away from their own soul source energy, that they keep worshipping these worlds. You can see on this world card, I hope you can you see the windows open, the curtains open? So okay, so you can see there above the figure here at the back on the wall, it's decorated with this being that stretches over the layers of people doing various different things. It's like this arc, and so what are you doing with your arc? Are you staying anchored in truth, or are you staying anchored in the reasons that you built that arc in the first place, to protect yourself from whatever wounds you've decided to hold on to continue to repeat the cycles? Clarify the next world card, because if it wants to come out twice. And for me, there's this other layer that of inner standing, of people who know how to dance through the various worlds that they encounter day by day, but not be attached to them. To be there, be present, be part of them, yes, but to be able to be changeable and use the energies to work with the energies, the fixed energies that surround the cornerstone of this world here, and then dance within the mutable energies, the ones that create a different intent depending on which fixed aspect they land on. Now the Seven of Swords comes out again, Seven of Swords, and the 10 of Chalices wanted to come out on this world card. This would speak to the great escape for me. The Seven of Swords, those with eyes to see and ears to hear, doing the great escape consciously. And it may seem counterintuitive, but to not be ready to get the boots on the ground yet. But spiritually, it is time to go to war. Spiritually, it is time for us to do what a lot of us have been doing. My chanting isn't stopping right now. My channeling isn't stopping right now to hold a shield, to hold an account of these energies that want to harm so many, that want to repeat a cycle that will repetitively harm so many, including the earth that we stand on. So the Seven of Swords would speak to, for me, with those with eyes to see and ears to hear, would be with taking what is viable consciously and recognizing that there are many that are doomed to repeat a cycle, in that consciously they're just not ready. These people are getting away on a boat at night. There is a father here on the ground, you know, so upset that they're leaving, but knowing that it is necessary. They have to go and create their own world and not live in the worlds of those of the past, those that have been created by others before them. The 10 of Chalices speaks to, when doing that, it's a very similar couple in the deck, actually creating a new emotional cycle for a family line, for building a new world, new possible worlds, with that Tower card echoing in the background on the bottom of the deck. You know, they're stealing away with the Seven of Swords consciously. They're taking what is viable and leaving the trimmings that were of other people's intent, that were of other people's illusion and of their own illusion. The ego death that is happening here for those that are able to go through these energies is intense, but with that they are creating new chains, like the wreath that is an organic chain around this dancer here in the middle of the world, that they'll create new links, new chains, new arcs where families can thrive, where abundance can be emotionally, where bliss can be. Stealing away in the night. There are some of you, in America in particular, in Argentina, Iran. You need to have a plan of how you would get to higher heights. It feels, I've just seen like it, I don't even know what it looks like. Tornado Alley. Some weird goings on there, wherever that is. I know it's in America, I don't know where it is. So let's clarify the Sun card for them, for the powers that be. Let's see what comes up with this Sun card. Guidance, the 10 of Cups. They're happy right now, and I know that's not popular. I know that that's not a popular state of play, but they've been allowed to gain such powers over weather, over timelines. They've been allowed to gain such powers that they are happy now. There's a satisfaction in the air for them. The real powers, the very few, feel safe. There are not enough conscious voices to make them not feel safe. They've done this again, cycle, repeat, cycle, repeat. They've refined it. They've done this in spirit more than anything, bringing it into 5, 6, 7, 8 of Wands messages from the spirit world with the Chariot card, creating their own balance and maintaining their chariot from ripping apart, because they're channeling from source. They are, and they're doing it to repeat this cycle. Ancient battles going on in spirit right now. Ancient, and some just as ancient that are worshipped now in this like new age community, you know. And I'm looking at them and thinking that energy's gone batshit crazy in the spirit world, which is filtering down into the physical. It batshit crazy. The God that they speak of, batshit crazy. There's death on the 9 of Staffs with this discernment, another major arcana. They're popping out. We've got Sun, Chariot, Death, Tower. World, Tower. See this Aquarian energy with the Temperance card on the bottom there. In the New Age world, and it's true. It's fed into a lot of love and light, and this is it. And yes, it is for those that can utilize these energies and realize that with the 3 of Swords there, it's challenging. It's not an easy thing. It's organic. It is this death cycle. But it speaks to many more dead via whatever's going to happen with the weather in the next week or so. It speaks to many more dead. America, you are, I keep getting it, Agent Orange. You're being gassed right now. And I think it's more from within than anything else, where that country has always been infiltrated. When I say always, I mean from its birth, from the crown. It existed before. It existed well. It was strong. And the crown came in and raped and pillaged it and called it its own liberators. And that same rhetoric that helped come in and do that is so alive in America today. That religious rhetoric that allowed others to feel more superior over others. So there. I want you order your iodine tablets. There's a huge change in the land mass and the land structure to happen in America, and I feel a lot of that is through farming. If people could go and take samples of lands that Gates owns, for instance, Gates owns. If people could go and do that and then go and take land samples, soil samples, water samples of the various different places that are on fire chemically right now, the amount of spills that have happened over the last 3-4 months in and around America. And you'll see that it's caused death to that land. There's poison there, and it can be addressed. but not if it's not addressed, not if it's not shown. Be interesting if somebody did that, wouldn't it? Let's see. What else needs to be known? Intense, it's intense. It's not a popular message. The High Priestess, another major arcana. The High Priestess is that hidden knowledge. It's that divine feminine and divine masculine, but being channeled through a very feminine portal, a very feminine canal, birth canal. It's where the knowledge can come forward and be used in such ways that the many do not understand and do not comprehend. And this divine spark energy of this divine feminine energy is only found in those places of, I mean, for this type of knowledge, in those places of being in the present and managing to anchor into different points of self to process ancient knowledge, ancient wounds, ancient bliss, alchemical processes and equations that, when applied, create physical reality. I don't know why I'm here, and this is all but a dream. So I'm going to end it there with the Emperor card on the bottom of the deck. This will be the divine masculine aspect to the divine feminine of the High Priestess. This is think purple rain, think Prince, think literal purple rain. It's this aspect of the, I don't want to say the word, I'm going to just say it, Saturnalia, the knowledge that they have accrued and taken and are as used by them so effectively. There is a changing of the tide with that, but they still want the same old type of energy and intent and control. But there is a divine masculine energy that is so ancient, that is so palpable through this card, that weeps for the beings that cannot draw from it from a place of good intent, with good intent, that cannot keep firing up that stick to go forward and use it in a different direction. It's intense, but it's beautiful. Make business. It feels right now that, you know, like, oh shit, this is exhausting. And they're just not getting it. They're just not seeing it. But that would be you taking your energy and diluting it by putting it in a place outside of self. And this is where it's, they just keep going. But don't keep going trying to fight and pull boats of other people that aren't ready to be in the seas that you know, the seas that you've navigated, the seas that you are able to take on board and navigate. Don't pull those people into those places. Don't give them the knowledge that they cannot process. And that's what's happening right now. There's a lot of distorted, diluted knowledge, but a lot of real knowledge coming forward, but again, it's on repeat, it's on repeat, it's on repeat on social media, and they're sharing it, and it's new to a lot of them. But to a lot of us, it's like, well, yes, but no. That yes, that would mean that, but no, that's not. That's what you've taken from this. Or yes, but we were talking about that 10 years ago. Yes, but they're past that. That we've known that getting that out there doesn't. And again, what comes through every time that I'm seeing that religious stamp comes on it from the people that are still wanting to cling on to this cycle, that are still wanting a middleman for their soul source energy. They're still wanting that middleman to act like an esoteric kidney or liver, processing and digesting the information and just giving them trace elements of it. Because they fear themselves, they fear who they are, they fear what they might feel, what they might have done. And so there's this shutting down of those feelings. They want this masculine energy, this middleman, to dilute it, to disfigure it for them a little bit, chew it down a bit, and then give it to them. So yeah, poof, that is the reading. I don't like the way it's looking. If we looked at places in America, and I'm not good at geography, and I'm upset about this because it feels like you guys are like in a huge death roll of this World War III that's been going on. And not a lot of people are seeing it. And they're doing it without firing a shot. These chemicals, these Agent Orange-like chemicals, accidentally on purpose, spilling accidentally on purpose, having to be set alight. There is much damage to come from that for the people that live in the surrounding area, but also going forward, I would love to see somebody who knows geography, who knows maps, to map out all of the different chemical spills or all of the different chemical accidents that have happened over the last 3 to 4 months. I bet you a lot of them are like important roads or important rail sections or important borders. I bet you there's like a testing going on right now. It's like, you do this to us, let's see what we can do to you. And it's supposedly what would look like from its own people, but America, it's not a, again, it's not a, what's the word? It's not a message that's going to get me 100,000 Q supporters. But America has been led by outsiders from the get-go of our lifetime's history, from that hijack through Christian organized religion. It has. And so they're not your own people. They're not. And they've been doing that more so in the UK of late as well. More and more and more, making sure that MPs and prime ministers don't represent the people. They've never known a day when they have to consider how much the milk costs, or how much this bus fare will cost, or how they'll get the school uniform. Never known a day. They don't represent the people. But they do represent what a lot of people on the ground wish they were. Those parts of them, that ego with those tower cards, that actually like feeling superior to others. So some of these powers that be's intent works for them, because it allows them to feel good about being racist. It allows them to feel safe about being misogynistic. It's crazy. Anyway, get out in the sun, have fun, make connections. We're all doing well. I know you are too, but realistically, it is a time of like, yeah, pick up your tools, walk in the other direction, and build elsewhere. But make a noise about these chemical spills. Make a noise about these earthquakes that aren't earthquakes. Make a noise about them because they are evil, you know, in their intent. The destruction, the unnecessary destruction of lives, of property, but most of all the land, is so dark. Keep an eye on that and be aware of that. And if this resonates with you, have your bug out bags, have your place to go, have your things to grab, for sure. Much love, balance, and wholeness. Just made that up. Did you see that? Love you all.